Okay, we're going to practice Sylvester's method for converting fractions into unit fractions. So let's take a look at some examples. Sylvester's method is detailed. I describe it, and the book describes it well. Actually, the book describes it well. What we're going to do is we're going to start with some fractions. So let's start off with maybe 4/5. And we want to convert 4/5 into a sum of unit fractions. That is, a sum of fractions of the form 1 over some integer. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with the biggest unit fraction that I can use, which would be 1 over 2. So I'm going to use 1/2. Let me write that here. That's going to get used up. So if I take 1/2 away, that's what we do. We subtract the 1/2. What do we get? Well, that's 8/10 minus 5/10, so that is 3/10. Okay, now we repeat the process. I want to express 3/10 as a sum of unit fractions. So I want to find the biggest unit fraction that is less than 3/10. So I want the biggest unit fraction, 1 over n, that is less than 3/10. So this means 10 has to be less than 3n. Now remember, biggest unit fraction means the smallest value of n. So I want the smallest value of n so that 10 is less than 3n. So what's the smallest value of n so that 10 is less than 3n? Well, 1 doesn't work. 2 doesn't work, 10 is not less than 6, 3 doesn't work, but 4 does work. So n equals 4 is the answer. So I'm going to take off 1/4 from 3/10. Okay, so let's see how this works. I get 6/20 minus 5/20, and that gives me 1/20, which is a unit fraction. So what did we find? We had 1/2, and then we got 1/4, and then finally 1/20. So I can say that 4/5 is equal to 1/2 plus 1/4 plus 1/20, and that is my expression for 4/5 as a sum of unit fractions. Let's try another example. Let's try, this is slightly harder. 7s make things more complicated sometimes. Let's try 3/7. Okay, well, 3/7 is definitely going to be a little bit less than 1/2, right? Because 3/6 is 1/2. So 1/2's not going to work, but the biggest unit fraction will be 1/3. So I'm going to take 3/7 minus 1/3. And, you know, I could even write a little 1/3 up here. Okay, so I'm using 1/3. I'm going to take 1/3 away from 3/7. That's going to give me 9 out of 21 minus 7 out of 21, which is 2 out of 21. Okay, new question. Let's try to express 2 over 21 as a sum of unit fractions. Well, I want to find out the biggest unit fraction less than 2/21. That would mean 21 has to be less than 2n. So I want the biggest unit fraction, or the smallest number of n, so that 21 is less than 2n. Well, clearly, you know, n equals 10 does not work, because 21 is not less than 20. But if I say, hey, let's set n equals 11, well, that does work. So that's going to be the smallest integer n that I can use. So I'm going to take 1/11 away from 2/21. Okay. So this is the tricky part, is doing this little subtraction here. Well, what do I get? Let's use 21 times 11 as the denominator. That's 110 plus 110 plus 11, or 220 plus 11, which is 231. 231, and this would be 22. Sorry about that. That's a 22. Minus This is going to be over 231, and that would be 21, and this gives me 1 over 231. So the first number we had was 1/3, then 1/11th, then 1 over 231. So 1/3 plus 1/11th plus 1 over 231 is the expression that we get for 3/7 as a sum of unit fractions. This is using Sylvester's method, which is a nice, easy method to use.